Hello, hello, hello. Sorry for being 8 minutes over. I will be starting up the stream in about 2-ish minutes. So, for those who are joining, welcome, welcome, welcome. We got some new subscribers to the channel, by the way. 6 days ago, we got Yuri Chica the Puppy 033. 5 days ago, we got Lint and String. Thank you for that subscription on YouTube. And yesterday, we have a subscription from Phantom. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of you new lovely subscribers to the channel, and welcome to the community. As I was saying earlier, we will be starting in about roughly, give or take, like 2 minutes. So I'll catch you back then. I just gotta get a quick drink. Hello, Darkwings. I'll be starting in just a couple more minutes. Just finish up my drink real quick and then I'll be starting. Alrighty. Hello, everybody. I probably only got one person on the stream besides me, but by that I mean in the chat, which is you, Darkwings. So hello to you, but hello to everyone else that's watching this in the future. I know, future, it's scary. Ah! But yes, hello, hello. So, today we're going to be working on something pretty straightforward and easy. Let me go ahead and dim down the audio, music audio that is, and we'll transfer right into the gist of things. So, today, well, correction, this entire week I've been working on a new file for the fursuit tail model, and I got everything done. I'm so happy with what I got. Honestly, this is the best model that I have came up with to date for anything. I'm just gonna plop this on over here. Nope, that did not really work out. Ah, what the heck? Windows 11 moment. Alright, let me see if I can actually do this properly without having to do too much finagling. Yeah, that should work. Okay. Guess then I can just go like, there we go. So, this is the fursuit tail model file. Obviously, it doesn't look very interesting so far. However, what is really interesting is that this is one solid piece. And by that, I truly mean one solid piece. I'm going to go into the wireframe for this. And that is the entire thing right there. This is all the objects right here in this main collection that made up this object right here. It took me a whole week just to get that bottled out and everything. So the reason why I'm doing it this way is because I tend to overestimate my measurements on the rare occasion. And to counteract that, I'm making a 3D model because I know for a fact with 3D models, you're down to the exact micron. The reason that I'm also using a 3D model is so that way, in case if I want to go back and redesign the tail in the future, at least I have something to base off of in the event I want to go back through, make a little tweak here and there, recompile it, print it out, and then start, building the new tail. One of the nice things that I thought of when I sketched this out on paper, because let's face it, that's how I've been doing things for ages, is that I've always been sketching things out on paper, was literally a spot to store my fans in the event I forget my fanny pack when I'm at a convention. So, let me go ahead and go to edit mode real quick. Now, it doesn't look like much on here, but this right here, oh, come on, that's the storage bin that's hidden inside of the tail. Now, how this works is actually pretty genius. So, the way that this works is that this part right here, this will rotate up. Hold on, I gotta get out of edit mode. There we go. So this part will rotate up. Yep. So, or will be left off. And it's secured with, I haven't decided yet, but I'm going more towards Velcro, because if I use magnets, I probably won't be able to make it. I mean, I don't know. I thought about using magnets, I've thought about using Velcro. I haven't decided exactly which route I want to go. However, this is still going to be secured one way or another, and that's our little bin right there. And this follows the curve of the tail, which honestly love to death. Now, one of the things I have not yet added to this model is the belt loop portion. And that's this piece right here. I've yet to exactly measure how wide my fursuit belt is. So let me go ahead, fix that. There we go. So turn that off. So let me grab my belt real quick. It's literally right over here. There we go. Oh, that's not the belt, but still. Grab something at least. And turn the shelves out. Yay! Home renovations on live stream. Totally a good thing. There we go. Okay. So, I got a caliper right here. And using this caliper, I am going to measure exactly. Oh, I've got a question. How big the container and the tail? Because I like that idea. So that's actually a pretty good question. So the container for the tail is following the curvature of the tail, because when you're thinking about three-dimensional space inside of a tail, you want to make sure that it follows that curvature. And since this is going to be one big piece, I had to pretty much take the tail itself, lop off a bit of it, and then make the bin that way. So the bin is currently I would just say 2.6 inches in the X dimension, which is this way, so consider that length. Width is about another 2.5. I'm just going to round up to the nearest quarter. So yeah, so 2.5 by 2.5 by 2.5. Well, actually no, 2.5 by 2.5 by 3 high, roughly. So that's enough for like 4 fursuit fans, easily. Like, could you imagine just plopping your storage container open, be like, oh, change out my fan, don't mind me, plop it close, continue on your way in the con? That is something that I actually want to do. Plus, if you actually want to store stickers, you could do that too. I know for a fact a lot of people tend to love to hoard stickers, at least in their fanny packs. I'm one of those guys, especially at conventions. Oh, sounds like really nice. Actually, would need one of those when I upgrade my tail. Yeah, I mean, I don't really see them a lot, and the way that I've seen most of them done is either like a zipper is done on like the backside, but I don't want to do that. So that's why I'm going with the tail lid design. Plus, I don't really need that much space, so that's why I'm designing it pretty small. I know some people would rather have a larger, you know, compartment, I should say. Although the nice thing about this is that there's a hidden feature. This actually will allow me to go and access the interior of the tail, because this is going to be stuffed with polyfill. Now, if I need to replace polyfill in the future, that tail hatch will provide me the means necessary to access that polyfill, take out the old, put in new, and just be on my merry way. I'd rather make things as cost effective as possible while also ensuring the longevity of the fursuit tail, because if you think about it, it is essentially a piece of art that you're wearing. And one of the things you got to do when you're maintaining a piece of art is that you got to make sure it's in pretty decent condition. You don't want it breaking down or destroying or getting tattered. I will be lining this tail with neoprene all throughout just to be on the safe side because I don't want to take any risks, to be quite frank. The last thing I want to do is deal with a tail that for some reason gets moldy on the freaking backside of the fur, which I've had not seen, but heard of people experiencing that type of issue with not tails, but with fursuit parts in general. But then again, that's just because the fact that they left it out to dry and did not properly ventilate out the water and whatnot. It's a very long, complex process. The other thing I should mention is that the pouch is going to be hand sewn. And then on top of that, this entire tail will be washable. That is my goal. I want a washable tail. I don't want to have to use a green machine to wash my fursuit tail. It's not practical in my opinion. I mean, yes, I mean I love using green machines, don't get me wrong, but I want to try something new. I want to make something that can actually be thrown in the washer, forgotten about until it's done being washed. Take it out and then just blow dry it like crazy. Not on hot, of course, on cold setting. And of course on a cold wash setting. But anyway, my goal is to make this washable so that way I don't have to worry about any form of cleaning errors on my part. I tend to be a little vigorous when cleaning things, and I don't want to ruin any of the fur since this is going to be minky fur, and minky fur is already thin to begin with, so it's like, what am I doing? So, one of the things I have to mention as well is the fact that the lid is going to be 3D printed. I have literally no other option but to 3D print this out of either TPU or PLA. And then that's going to be the same for this part here. Did that answer your question, Darkwings? Or did I go? Okay, cool. All right. After doing my little bit of measurements, no problem. Looks like the belt's width is about 0.375 inches, which is what I thought it was when I was at work earlier today. So let me go ahead and plop the editor mode on. Turn off that feature. This right here. Hold on 1 second. My family member calling me. 1 second. Sorry about that. Hold on one sec. Sorry about that. A bunch of family drama going on. Anyway, hello, Caroline Duncan. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, before I was interrupted by my family, let's see here. We have a measurement of 0.375 inches on the width of the belt buckle. So I'm going to factor that in to the design of this. So between these 2 points is about 2 point. Let's copy that. No, come on. Notepad. So then minus I'm still new to Blender, so if I'm doing stuff that normal people would have done, okay, I just need to widen that a little bit more. Or I just do this. Oops, there we go. Yep, okay, actually it works right there, perfect. Okay. Yes, absolutely, Caroline. So, let me go back out of edit mode for this real quick after I clean up these faces. So, clean those points. Whoops, don't want to clean all of them out. Yep, wrong one. There we go. And then just dissolve those. As I go from there to there. Perfect. Okay. So right now, I am working on a fursuit tail model. And this model essentially is what's going to allow me to make my entire fursuit tail from the ground up. Someone is calling my phone. As much as I want to answer it, I'm on a live stream. Oh, all right, see you later, Darkwings. So essentially, this model will allow me to build the fursuit tail as well as its little hidden features. The first hidden feature is that it's going to have a tail storage. And that tail storage is what's going to be allowing me to store my fursuit fans in, as well as stickers and anything else. So that way, if I have to go to a convention, I can just pull out a fan, swap it out, be done and over with. It just eliminates the need for me to have to worry about any unnecessary little teeny tiny details. So, let me go ahead and turn that back on. And then the backing here is what's going to be used to back against the back of my, well, back. That's the reason why it's called a backing. It provides a flat, cushiony surface that will allow me to wear the tail comfortably, but also have that nice little tail movement as well. Hold on, I got a phone call that I absolutely need to take, so I'm going to mute for a second. Sorry about that. Friend had a hard drive basically go bust on them, and yeah, they lost all of their project files that they were working on. Oops. I really hope that their backup that they were working on at the time, by the way, yeah, they were backing up their data because they knew their hard drive was going bad. They just didn't know how bad it was. Anyway, they were backing it up and it failed at the 20 gig mark, so I'm hoping that they at least get some of their data back. I'm really hopeful on this. Yeah, disk failure. Um, I don't know exactly the full details. They didn't really go too far into detail, but yeah, they were calling me stating that yeah, their hard drive is basically foobarred. Also, hello, Drally W. Is that how you pronounce your name? And yeah, I wish them best of luck, Carolyn. As I was going on about the this part right here on the storage, the goal is to 3D print at least this part right here out of TPU. This part right here is going to be PLA, and then this is going to be hand sewn. Now, the reason why I'm using two different type of 3D prints is because I want the lid to be nice and rigid, but the backing I want it to be nice and squishy. Because if you think about it, your back is, well, not just your back, but maybe your upper posterior will be pressing against this. So like the back, lower back right here, maybe the upper posterior here, will be pressing against it. And I want that flexibility. So I don't want to feel like I'm pressed against a rock. Yeah, I agree, Carolyn. Because if you think about it, the skin is a flexible material. And because of that, if you're putting a flexible material against a rigid material, which is skin against TPU, and I mean, it can work, but if it's thin, it will work. If it's thick, not so much. And in this case, it's going to be pretty much on the thick side. So that's one of the things I gotta keep in mind here is the fact I don't want to worry about pressing my back against this and being like, ah, my back, while I'm wearing this. Actually, that's a good point. I might just do the whole thing out of TPU now that you mention it. So the lid and the back end will both be out of TPU. At least at that point, I'll have the ability to make sure everything's nice and flexible. Plus, it keeps the consistency of the tail in check. So yes, I will definitely keep that on my notes. I actually have my notes about this on my phone, so I will be putting that in my notes right now. So let me do that real quick. So backing and lid material, TPU. There we go. And then, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I forgot to put down the lining material, neoprene. Now, I do not know a good color for the interior of the, not the lid. I was about to say the interior of the lid. Have you tried oval back? I have not, actually. Oh, well, correction. So there is on my current second suit a oval backing plate, but it's not really a plate per se. It's more or less made out of EVA foam, but still, it's pretty solid and durable. I give props to Marine Anarchy for making such a great tail and a suit. Well, great suit in general. But uh, okay, I thought that was a good color because that's what I was trying to go for, like a little bit of a kind of like a bloodier tone, but not really overly bloody. More like a darkened interior. So like it's like when you open it up, it looks like you're looking into the flesh of a dragon in a sense, because that's pretty much where everything's gonna be stored inside of. It's in the flesh of a dragon. Which means I actually have to order some neoprene, which Thank God I got neoprene samples. Let me go ahead and send over. I was thinking black because you essentially want to hide it. It goes to shadow. Yes, samples. I loved samples. I got a bunch of samples from Big Z right here in front of me. So let me go ahead and take a few snapshots of those with my phone. Boink. Actually, I don't really need 2 snapshots. I only need 1 because everything's on the first page. Ha! Yes, Lucia, and hello. I got samples in front of me from Big Z Fabrics. I ordered these about 2 weeks ago. They just came in last week. They're actual swatches. It's a swatch set. So let me go ahead and plop that over into my Discord server. So if I go to no mic, you'll see it there in just a second. Also, apparently it's dinner time, but let me go ahead and first put this over. I'm actually going to go right after I send this. 1 second. So yeah, I was thinking of this color right here. This wine color is what I'm going to use for this part's lining. That way I have everything all said and done. Unfortunately, I wanted to do more, but I got other things going later tonight, so I'm going to cut the stream short. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and joining in. I will be doing this again next Friday, so please tune in at around 5:30, and I'll see you all then. Thank you so much.